Welcome into the Edge of Philly Sports Painted Lines post-game, post-day breakdown show. I'm Freddie Burns. I got Joey Sheeran with us right now. We'll be right back with breakdowns, game summary, what we thought of the offense and defense, that, and much more. See you in a few. Go Birds.
Hell yeah!
I know. I love that. Hell yeah.
Are we supposed to do the hell yeah each show?
I do, so I'm with it. I'm with it. Let's keep that going. That's a thing, I think. Let's do it. Going forward. But I think I do. I do it every time. Anyhow, welcome in Edge of Philly Sports, the Painted Lines, the post-game, post-day breakdown. Obviously, the Phillies were playing last night. I doubt we would have had a lot of people watching. Plus, we wanted to watch ourselves because we're big Philadelphia sports fans. The Eagles, however, the bright spot, are now 8-0, undefeated for the first time in franchise history, beating the now 1-6-1 Houston Texans. I have Joe Sheeran of Edge of Philly Sports with us as well. Joe, how you feeling after last night?
Well, I think there's two different sides to it. First, the Phillies. That was a tough one, but I know we're here to talk the Eagles. From what I saw, of course, I watched the highlights and clips earlier today to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm happy a win is a win. I know certainly what I said on the pregame last night did not come, as easily as I expected it to. I didn't expect them, the Texans, to march down on that first drive and look like they're, the 1987 49ers. So, I mean, I was a bit surprised, but you saw the team. The first drive was a fluke. That's really what I'm gonna, chalk it up to. The offense looked good. The defense, stepped up when needed. I'm happy about a win. A win is a win, especially on a short week. And now we get, basically another bye.
We do, with the extra time off there. And let's dive into a little quick game summary for those. Most people, not most, a lot of people I'll say would have the Phillies on with the volume, and like me and yourself, the Eagles on there in the background. So you're kind of just watching the score and kind of, hey, whoa, it's a tie game. Oh, whoa, the Eagles are losing here.
Yeah.
Like what's going on here? But so let's start with the opening drive. So the Texans come down 7-0. They have not scored points all year long on the first drive, and lo and behold, in this game that me and you clearly thought was going to be a huge breakout. I think you had the Texans having 3 points. I had them having 6.
Yeah, I think I said 7. Yeah.
Okay, 7. So right off the bat, you look over at your TV, you see 7-0 Texans. What are you thinking?
I thought, all right, that's out of the way. I mean, you get out there, you saw their offense, you make the adjustments. JG on the sideline, gonna switch some things around, talk to some guys, show him what he's seeing. And I mean, that's not really what we saw. I mean, we saw the Texans really give them a game in the first half.
They certainly did. The Eagles battled back right after that second drive, or the very next drive, with an 18-play drive capped by Miles Sanders, a 4th and goal touchdown run to make it 7-7. At that point, you kind of think the Eagles probably will run away with it. Get a lead and go forward. But as you were just saying, that wasn't the case. There was a rare turnover by Jalen Hurts early in the second quarter. The defense, however, then gets a stop. Javon Hargrave, who had a great night, 3 sacks, got the first of his 3 sacks. And then the Eagles began, it looked like, to make a commitment to the run, which they should. Had some tight end screens capped by a Kenny Gainwell touchdown, makes it 14-7. How you feeling there? You look over, you see 14-7. I'm thinking you're feeling pretty good at that point.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they got Gainwell involved. I feel like they should start using him more. I mean, listen, Miles Sanders, he should be the bell cow. But I understand that some of these other guys are going to get some touches, even Bryson Scott, whatever the hell his name is. But I think Kenny Gainwell, because he is outside of Miles Sanders, he is going to be a primarily, focused part of this backfield going forward. This is only his second year in the league, so he's going to get more looks, and I like that they're starting to get him in that role now.
Especially with Miles Sanders in a contract year.
Yeah.
That's not to say he won't be back, but if he wants a big payday, he certainly won't be back because the Eagles won't pay running backs, and I kind of agree with them there.
Yeah.
14-7 at this point. The Texans, though, come right back. They punch the Eagles right in the mouth, and at this point, you're starting to see Jordan Davis not being in the middle on that defensive line start to become an issue. Now, they're not a great run D, even when they're about 4.5 yards per carry, which isn't terrible, but it's not outstanding.
Sure.
And with him out, I believe they're around 5.3. Last night, they completely got gashed by Dameon Pierce. And Davis Mills looked comfortable back there. It was huge, huge drive by them. Gashing holes, as I said. Mills hits Chris Moore, who we talked about in the post-game or pre-game of having no clue who he was. So he a balloon coverage on a rollout. He scores a touchdown. 14-14. Eagles try to score at the half. Elliott misses the field goal. So we're now 14-14 at the half. And at this point, I look to my wife and I'm saying, oh my God, are the Eagles going to lose this game in Houston? And she's like, they're tied? Is this team good? I'm like, no, this team's terrible. Why is it 14-14?
Let me interject real quick. On that, the final couple plays of the half, you see Jalen Hurts run for about that additional 7, 8, 9, whatever it was, wherever the ball was placed. But they still had 14 seconds on the clock with 2 timeouts. Why are they not going to run another play down the sideline, get another 5 to 10 yards for a more comfortable, shot for Jake Elliott? I mean, that ball was not even close. Why are they just letting it drop or letting the clock dwindle down to 3 seconds and kick it when they had time for an extra play?
I was unaware of that. I couldn't agree more with you, though. If there's 14 seconds on the clock and you have 2 timeouts, it was a 54-yard field goal. There's absolutely no reason to not use one of the timeouts, stop it there, and then just run a play. Run 2 plays if you can get it in.
Yeah.
I don't know what down was. It was the first down, correct?
Yeah. Well, no. I think it was second.
So
because Jalen, because there was the pass to Goddard that got out of bounds. And then Jalen ran up the gut for 7, 8, 9, again, whatever it was. And then that left 14 seconds. I'm yelling at the TV, like, what the hell is going on here? My wife's looking at me like, why are you so mad? Like, if they're going into the half, we got the Phillies on. Like, I'm like, because this is football 101. Nick Sirianni should be on top of this. Like, I understand that it's the Texans, but you should want to run up the score regardless of the team. I mean, it was just a blunder in my eyes.
Couldn't agree more. Eagles come out second half with issues again. Jerry Hughes with a huge blows right by Jordan Mailata twice this game for a set against Mailata. He also got Lane Johnson at one point. Jerry Hughes is a good player. We should have mentioned him in the pregame. He came over from Buffalo. I actually had him written down. I forgot to bring it up. But he's a good player, but he was causing a lot of havoc back there. He sacks them. 2 sacks on the drive. It's a little shaky there. So then the Texans get the ball back. They begin to drive down the field. And then the Eagles D-line kicks in. Brandon Graham creates a huge pressure. Davis Mills has to step up, throws an errant throw, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson with a diving interception, which is his 4th in a row, 4 games in a row, 5th on the year. How great of an addition is C.J. Gardner-Johnson?
I remember them scouting him when it came to the draft. He would play down in Florida. We all thought that he was going to be a first, second round talent, and then he just started to slip. And then it's almost like a Nakobe Dean type thing where it's like, all right, the Eagles are next on the board and they have this guy there. Like, it's a no-brainer to take him, much like they took Nakobe in the 3rd round. But when CJ started to drop, I think he even went in like the 4th or 5th round. And don't quote me on that, but it was towards the middle of the pack of the draft. And it's like, why aren't they bringing this guy up? And for whatever the reason, but of course, Al kept his eye on him. And, New Orleans, they had a whole cluster F with their, secondary, and they decided to trade him for a 5th and the 6th for the upcoming draft. And that is just another, praise on Howie Roseman for, keeping ties with this guy, his performance what the five interceptions on the season. And this kid's what, 24 years old? There's no way that he's not going to get an extension the way he's playing. Another, A+ move from Howie Roseman.
Yeah, the Eagles might need to change their philosophy on who they sign. I really think they need to sign both C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Bradbury to good deals to make sure that they stay here. Quentin Moore checks in. Thanks for listening and chiming in.
What's up, buddy?
I couldn't agree more. He loves the diving interception. He did it in the Dallas game. He seems to always be aware of the deflections. I couldn't agree. It looks like he does practice them. No doubt about it. C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That leads the Eagles, gets the Eagles back in control. That leads to a short field at that point. Hit a wide open A.J. Brown. The Hurts A.J. Brown connection continues. Touchdown. Eagles go up 21-14. But them Texans, they're pests. They really are. And Dibes brought up a good point that the Texans only have one game that's not one score, and I can see why. They are sticky, and even though the stats don't show it, they keep themselves in games. They battle right down the field. The Eagles' defense, again, being gashed via the run and throw, blown coverages, but they don't break here. Don't break as far as the touchdown goes. They lock it down in the red zone, and they hold them to just 3. So 21-17. Now we're getting into the early fourth quarter here, and this is what I want to call the Dallas Goedert drive. I had said on the post-game show a sleeper pick that could be a good weapon for the Eagles was the tight end possession with Goedert. And they even had Jack Stoll on a few, or 2, I think, early in the game. So it was definitely there. They turned the focus to Goedert. I think he had 3 or 4 catches on the drive, capped off by a run-pass option, hit him for a touchdown. Eagles go up 27-17, followed by a 2-point conversion. Really cool formation I liked they had there. They spread them out wide. Then they had Goedert in the backfield like a halfback, and then just did a quarterback sneak with Hurts, with Goedert kind of piling behind him. Not that Hurts needs that with his strength. Puts the Eagles up 29-17. We all know that was the final score. At that point, I'm looking over at the TV. I'm feeling pretty good. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I even changed the World Series on the TV to go to the Eagles post game so I could record it, so I could see what they were saying after I watched the Phillies. And I went, and all their opinions are the same as ours. I mean, it came to. I was very surprised at the 2-point conversion, just for the fact that I don't know if something's going on with Jake Elliott and Nick Sirianni saw that, or the fact that they just wanted to make it a 12-point game and not an 11-point game, to where a field goal and a field goal, 2-point conversion, and a touchdown, gets you to that 11. So Nick Sirianni felt more comfortable with that added point. And then if you don't make it, I mean, it's still a 2-score game. But I mean, I was very surprised on that. And it's amazing to me that and I don't know if there's any relationship between the two or not, but Jason Kelce talks about percentage of the QB sneak and how it's effective about 97, 98%, of the time, every time. And then it just seems like every single week since he said that on his podcast, Nick Sirianni is calling for a QB sneak 5 or 6 times a game, even on 3rd down. And now, and for this example, we see it with a 2-point conversion. I mean, and I've never seen, and maybe this is just me not watching closely on 2-point conversions, because I feel like they're a lot more common these days than before. I've never seen these guys just, like a Kenny Gainwell even, just get behind Hurts and just push. I've never seen 2 or 3 guys behind the quarterback just push. I've only seen the quarterback either try and dive, try and get through, the guard in the center and try and get the extra yard or 2. I've never seen the physicality of the actual pushing of the quarterback over the line. And I don't know if that's just something that they're like, oh, hey, here's a genius, light bulb above the head, let's see how this plays out. And it plays out every single time. Why more teams don't do it, I have no idea. But I mean, it's really remarkable to see how they're coming up with these different strategies and executing them on almost 100%, basis.
It is, and I think one of the factors is the actual quarterback there too. I think
he's squatting 700, yeah.
And Josh Allen is one that comes to mind. The Bills I don't know the stats on it, but when I watch Bills games, it seems like in short yardage situations they do they sneak the quarterback, and he's a big guy with some power too, so that might be a factor. But I couldn't agree more. For years, we would be in short yarded situations with other coaches, and we'd be in shotgun throwing passes and all this nonsense when it's just like, hey,
nuts.
Quarterback sneak. So shout out to Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni for putting that in the playbook. The Eagles did win. I do want to touch on the Texans did not go away, and they did drive down the field again. And the reason I bring this up is because two of our guys made some big plays. One was Hassan Reddick. There was a clear touchdown on the Texans drove down the field. It was a touchdown. He was in coverage. He dove and batted it away. The guy would have caught it. The one went in. Huge deflection by him. I know you picked Reddick to have a good game. He had an excellent game. I'm sure you didn't expect him to be in coverage, though, making plays in that route.
Right, yeah, and I specifically remember that play because they mentioned that during the broadcast. They said, it's not that often that he drops back in coverage these days. He's more, coming off the end of the line, which I prefer him anyway. But yeah, that was an old play. He played really well. I expected to, 2, 3, 4 sacks from him. I, like an idiot, said 10 plus sacks on the game. That's not what we got. But overall, Hassan Reddick did play a very good game. And one of the guys who we mentioned earlier did get those multiple sacks. I just picked the wrong guy.
And that's great to bring him up because on the very next play, he had his third and final sack, which forced Davis Mills into a 3rd and 19, which he just threw the ball up there. It was an off throw, picked off by Bradbury, and then the Eagles essentially run the clock out, get the win 29-17. So you were right on the pressures, but hey, you never know where it's going to come. And
sure.
Hargrave really, I appreciated Hargrave that stepped up with Jordan Davis out, got some more playing time, and not as far as the run game goes, we'll get to that, but as far as the passing and putting pressure on the quarterback, 3 sacks, you can't really get
and I do want to mention one thing about Hargrave is, all of us, we were saying on the pregame yesterday, and everybody's been saying it since Davis got put on the injured list. We forget that Javon Hargrave came from Pittsburgh, where he played in a 3-4. He was the nose tackle of that team. When he came over, he had to style his play, to accordingly to what the Eagles were running, whether it was a 4-3 or a 3-4. So with the loss of Jordan Davis, but having the experience of Javon Hargrave already being in a 3-4, and that's really all they ran there in Pittsburgh. Him getting in there, and I understand that Dameon Pierce ran a train on that line last night, but he is a really good rookie, and we expected him, at least I did. I thought that there was going to be some holes for him, and he took advantage of them. But that doesn't take away the night that Javon Hargrave had. And I'm very confident with him being that predominant, nose tackle 3-4 for the next X amount of weeks, whatever it is, until Jordan Davis is back. That's where Javon Hargrave is going to get his bread and butter in this defense for the next month or so.
And I agree. And I don't think the defense was – I know there's stats in the few plays that Jordan Davis played that would show a little different, but there's a reason Jordan Davis was only playing a few plays.
Sure.
Him in and out. If he's in and they're still giving up 4.3 yards per rush, that's still not very good. Like that's a 3rd and 6 immediately, or a 2nd and 6 immediately if you're giving that up on, say, a first down. But with him out last night, it was atrocious. And let's talk with the defense first here, because that was probably the most negative we've seen. If we want to nitpick, well, it would be an issue. It's not really nitpicking. They brought up Marvin Williams. You had Milton Williams, Marlon Tupo. I can't say it every time.
I can't say it either.
And then
Dive said it last night, and all I kept thinking was, how many times did he practice that?
I actually practiced before this show and still screwed it up. And then Hargrave, they on Twitter and group text with friends, everyone was crushing Gannon for this. I don't see how this is Gannon's fault. They were being blown off the ball. They were out of position. They weren't in their gaps. That was a huge cause for the rushing, and as well as the missed tackles on the second level. Linebackers were missing tackles. The corners were missing tackles. And I think that combined contributed to the terrible effort of stopping the run.
Yeah, tackling for me, and I think everybody else who has a pair of eyes, this has been an issue for years with the team, and it doesn't matter which defensive coordinator is here. Doesn't matter who's lining up where. New second. Look at us on paper. We have Bradbury Slay. We have one of the best young linebacking corps in the league at this point. We have an elite defense in my eyes. And the one thing that needs to improve, and we always say needs to improve, is the tackling. CJ, he has 5 interceptions, but he's not a great tackler. Like these guys have areas of their game where they are really talented, but they have to kind of just hone in the other aspects that we need them to be as good or above average at. And tackling is football 101. It's tackle football. How can you not know how to tackle?
And when it comes, you're right. And it takes up a lot of clock when they're running the ball, but ultimately it's a passing league. And when it comes down to passing, the Eagles were able to get stops. They only gave up 17 points. Regardless of all the running they did, again, it stayed at 17 points, had some turnovers. A huge part of this was the Texans were 2 for 9 on third downs.
Yeah.
Third down conversions are, if you can get off the field on third down, it doesn't matter. They can have 50 yards. We seen Jim Johnson do this at one point. It was an aggressive defense in the early 2000s, but he had to adjust from the 2005, 2010 in that area, and it became a bend don't break at points. So I don't hate the run. I mean, I don't like it when a guy runs like that, but I don't necessarily think that's going to crush us from winning the football game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I kind of said it last night. It's like, who did we expect for them to feed the ball most? Like Philip Dorsett, some of those passes downfield. I didn't even know that he was on the goddamn Texans. Like I didn't even know this guy was in the league still. I mean, that was a surprise. More we didn't know of. Nico and Brandon Cooks was out. Davis Mills is Davis Mills, and Damian Pierce is an up and coming, very, very good running back. And with the Eagles, not the greatest in the rush, defense anyway. Like, it did not surprise me one bit that he put up like 139 or whatever it was. The kid is good. And I mean, if that was going to be the one part of the game last night that we were going to worry about, I mean, I think we hit it right on the head, really. I mean, we saw what we expected out of their running attack, in my opinion.
Yeah, we said if there was a hole, that's it. I don't know if we thought it was going to be 150 and getting gashed for 10-yard runs, but we expected if there's a hole to hit us, it's there. One other thing I want to bring up on the defense is the adjustment in the second half. The Davis Mills, if you listen to our halftime show, had like a 150 quarterback rating at the half. Right? So he looked like you said, and as you said, like the 87 49ers, but he finished 13 of 22, 154 yards, and 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. So the defense definitely adjusted in the second half and was able to hone in. I don't even think they gave up 3 points in the second half. So good adjustment by the D. We got the W. Let's move over to the offense. 29 points on the road on a short week. They gave up some sacks. Hurts and Kelsey had some snap issues, but overall, I was happy with the offense. What did you like about the offense?
I was very happy with the offense. The one thing I would say is I wish that they would have run the ball more. I think Miles Sanders had such a good game that the fact that he only had 93 yards rushing shocked me. I thought he was definitely over the century mark, probably pushing 120, and then I saw the stats after the game, and I was like, wow, really? Only 93? Like, he's busting, 10, 15, 20-yard runs. I think there was like 3 or 4 of them. And it's like, wow, like, how did he not get over, that 100-yard mark? But then you look at the carries, and I think, I think he had like 17, maybe 19 carries. And 17. I think it should have been more into the mid-20s. And if he would have gotten those extra 6, 7, 8, attempts, he would have been over the 100, of course. And who knows? He may have even scored another touchdown and broke one. You don't know what happens. But that is the one thing about the offense that I thought that they should have done more of. Jalen Hurts, his accuracy each week continues to impress me. He was throwing the ball down the field. If it wasn't a dink pass to Dallas Goedert for the yak. I mean, he was throwing it down to A.J. Brown. I thought Devontae Smith was going to have a bigger game than he did, but, he got some passes down the field. Quez Watkins had that first big reception down the field on their first drive, and which was one of the 18 plays in that drive for the scoring. He just continues to impress me, and I love that he's still not like really trying to create with his legs too much. He's still stepping up in the pocket. To me, it makes it seem like he's making all his reads. He has better vision each week, and I'm so happy with the growth of him. I really am. And we knew that he had weapons. I love that it was kind of a showcase Dallas Goedert game. You hit that out of the park yesterday with that prediction. From top to bottom, if Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, and Miles Sanders are all, producing, and you're scoring 29 on the road in a short week, I'm happy regardless.
On a short week is a good point there, because it's hard to do that and come and turn around after a win on Sunday. It was good they got their rest, too, in that Pittsburgh game. I couldn't agree with you more. I just want to touch on a couple of things you just said. First off, the Miles Sanders, great point. And I think getting Gainwell involved as well as Boston Scott. Hurts had 9 carries factored into him not getting those extra 5 carries. But I couldn't agree more. I looking over, every time I looked to my screen off the Phillies, it seemed like he was running for 10 yards. So 17, 93, and he punches in a touchdown. And Jalen Hurts, couldn't agree more. His decision making has been unbelievable, and actually it's been believable for the work that he put in to get there. He's been answering these question marks, I think, since the Vikings game, and it's just his decision making, I feel like, is so quick. He's very decisive now. He finds the reads a lot quicker, and also it's like the game has, I guess, slowed down for him. You know? It's I know we haven't played great defenses, but he's starting to slow down, and he may struggle. If we go up against a good D, he's going to struggle again. He's his second year or his third year, but his second year playing to that extent. And I'm just, excited, because to have a franchise quarterback and use these upcoming picks, either trade back, or there's so many options if he's the franchise quarterback, which it seems like he definitely is. Another thing about this offense, how do you really stop it? You talked about Devontae Smith, who didn't have a game, and I think the Eagles are going to have to make it a focus probably to get him some balls, because at some point, I mean, he was drafted in number 8. You're going to have to get him the football. They did it early in the year, just made it, let me get him his. But what do? You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and then Miles Sanders back there. How do you stop the offense? The Texans aren't a blitzing team, and they actually blitzed a few times. The one former Eagle, Stevie Jones, caused a fumble on the one. They sent the blitz there. I don't know what the Pittsburgh had no answers. What do defenses do? Hold on. What do defenses do? And is there a defense in this league right now that scares you? I would have said the Cowboys, and we beat them.
Right. Division-wise, definitely would have been the Cowboys. The only team you would even, at the moment, consider a challenge would be the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. I mean, I think there's no one in the NFC that scares me. I honestly think that this is like the worst year of football we have seen in a very long time. I mean, you look at the marquee guys, the Bradys, the Rodgers, the Russ Wilsons, and they're doing nothing. It's all about the next generation at this point. The Jalen Hurtses, the Josh Allens. I mean, I guess you can throw Patrick Mahomes in there, even though he's been around the league for a good amount of time now. But it's all about the next regime taking that step up, and that's what we're saying. I don't see, and the Eagles' defense and offense will continue to get better. They're going to continue to watch tape, see what each defense is doing, prior to their game, prior to coming up against the Eagles. They always seem to have an answer for everything. And the fact that Jalen Hurts does have all these weapons around him, like we've seen last week, three touchdowns, 150, whatever, for AJ. Yesterday, Dallas Goedert, touchdown, finally gets to 100 yards. We saw week 3, Devontae Smith with the 150 or whatever, and a couple touchdowns. Like they always have something different keyed up for a defense. And we've also seen the Miles Sanders games where he's running for 150 something and 2 scores. They always have something different to eliminate the opposing team's defense.
And you look over and you look at the Colts, who lost Nick Sirianni, and their offense hasn't been the same since they lost him. The creativity of him and Shane Steichen is great. Like it's something like We love to see it. We
Yeah.
absolutely love to see it. It's creative, it's innovative, it's new. And at the same time, like in that Dallas game, when it's struggling and it's not doing right, they have the ability to adjust and run the football down people's throats, which was such a critique of Andy Reid and Doug at times, that they would just blindly forget to run. Quentin Moore, San Fran scares me. You know what? They totally slipped my mind. I was at work, and I said that on Monday to a coworker. They made some moves here, and their defense is solid. They're getting healthy. San Fran is a team that would scare me even in a playoff game, because you know how it goes. The undefeated team or that one seed gets in, and I feel like every year the one seed just gets knocked off by some shocking thing, and I would not want to see San Fran. I feel like if there's a team built to slow us up and then offensively give us fits, it is the San Francisco 49ers. Great point, Quentin.
Niners and Minnesota can battle it out, and we'll just take the lesser of the team to play.
Give us the Vikings. I want the Vikings. Before we wrap up, let me get into our awesome Edge of Philly Sports and Painted Line schedule. So much going on. We got Sixers post-game, Chalk Talk, Birds of the Round Table, the Fightin' Phillies final. We may have only one or two left. Make sure you tune in post-game Saturday night and hopefully Sunday night as well. Philly Press Box Radio has amazing guests every single week. Fightin's final, I just said that. Also, Wednesday, and I'll let Joe get into it more. I'm intermittent. I'm in there. As soon as my son's health gets better, I'll be back full time. But Edge of Philly Sports Show every Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. You got Bird's IQ, Kyle Quinn on Thursdays. You got Devereaux Sports, the Patterson Fanatics on Saturday mornings. And then even if you want some lacrosse, some Union are in the championship. I'm not a big soccer guy. They're in the championship, though. Check out our Union coverage, the attacking third. So much going on. Painted Lines, Edge of Philly Sports. Before we wrap up, we'll get to how they can contact either of us or listen to either of us. We forgot player of the game. Who was your player of the game last night?
It's
cutting out a bit, Joe. I don't think we heard your player of the game. Totally frozen. So I'm just going to give mine. I had predicted it would be Jalen Hurts. I think I could say Jalen Hurts here. He 21 of 27, 243, 2 touchdowns. He commanded the offense well. But I want to give it to my sleeper guy. 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Dallas Goedert. He's going to be my player of the game. Joe, it looks like you're the feeds back. Who's your player of the game?
I got to go Javon Hargrave. His snaps. Javon Hargrave is going to get more snaps like that yesterday. But I got to give it to him on the defensive side of the ball, because the Houston Texans, they weren't going away. And Javon did what he had to do to.
You're cutting out again, Joe, but Quentin Moore agrees with you. Hargrave couldn't agree more. Defensively, if he doesn't get those sacks, we may have a different game. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Joe, where can everyone find you?
Right there, at Joey
@Joey_EOP, all the social media on EOP, the different cool graphics. Joe is behind most of those. He has a lot of funny, cool clips that he does that are absolutely, I think they call them shorts. That's what the proper term is, are hilarious. I love them all. They're good and informative as well, but I just love his takes on things. So check out Joey at Joey_EOP. You'll always see him on Wednesday nights, 8:30 p.m. on the Edge of Philly Sports Network. You can find me right now. Mostly I'm Eagles post-game, halftime. I'll do a little Sixers post-game with the Painted Lines at Edge of Philly. And then hopefully soon, as my son gets healthy, you'll see me full-time, 8:30 p.m. on Edge of Philly Sports. For Joey Sheeran, I'm Freddie Burns. Go Birds. Please smash that subscribe button. Hit that like button. We'll see you next week.